Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. Today I am going to show you how I took carry-on only and one pair of shoes to Vietnam for 10 days. So I recently went on a 10-day Intrepid tour to Vietnam that I actually won through a competition. But this is what I took. So I knew I wanted to do carry-on only just because it was cheaper for like my internal flights in Australia. It's a lot cheaper to get flights from here to Melbourne carry-on only, and it's just easier to carry around. And it was only 10 days. Also, next year I am planning on doing some long haul travel to Southeast Asia, and I want to do it carry on only then, again to save money. So I was like, well, if I can't manage to do carry on only for 10 days, then I definitely can't manage to do it for months on end. So this was kind of my test. And luckily enough, one of my friends actually has the Fairview 55 Osprey backpack, and so I borrowed it from her so that I could try it out. I have the Osprey 75 Fairview, which is what I've taken on my trips before, like when I've been to Peru or New Zealand. And I took that one with me and I really like it, but it is not small enough for carry-on. So this bag here is actually carry-on. There's so many things that I love about this bag. I think this is probably the same with all Ospreys, but basically you've got the back here, which is, you know, like fully adjustable, but it also comes with this little cover here so that you can cover all the straps up, which is really handy when you're like, if you want to carry your bag, there's a handle on the side so you can carry it like that and all the straps aren't hanging out anywhere. And then if you're like, if you do put it on a plane, it's not going to get caught anywhere. No one's going to pull it on anything. With the 55 bag, it's a 40-litre bag with a 15-litre Daypack on top. So you can either transport it like this, and then you have a little Daypack. So this is really handy to actually carry around a Daypack when you want a Daypack with you, but then also to make this one smaller. Then this really does start looking like a 40-litre backpack. That's what it looks like. The hardest challenge for me was not size, it was weight. Keeping this under 7 kilos was really, really difficult. I think on the way back, it was like 7.5 kilos. And on the way there, it was like just less than 6. I don't really know. I didn't really buy anything, so I don't really know how it got heavier. And I used all of the liquids that I took. So I don't really understand that math. So I will start with what I had in my Daypack. First thing is we have hand sanitizer. I also had my AirPods with me. Importantly, I also had 2 of these padlocks. So these padlocks, you can set your own code. When you're backpacking, you can put these in anything, you know, like if you're staying in a hostel, if you've been given like a cube that you can put all your stuff in, these are so much easier than one of those set padlocks where it's like metal. I had all of my camera stuff with me. So this camera that I'm filming on is the DJI Osmo Pocket 3, and I had, this is like the protector case for it. I probably didn't actually need to take it. This has the microphone in it. I really could have just taken the setup that I'm currently filming with. I always take a little bag like this so that I can do my shopping and I can avoid plastic bags. I actually got this in New Zealand, so I'm a huge advocate for buying souvenirs that are really useful. I don't buy souvenirs for the sake of buying souvenirs. None of my friends get souvenirs out of me when I come home. I also took a deck of cards, which came in really handy when we were stuck hiding from a typhoon playing spoons. And you'll always make friends in a hostel if you have a deck of cards. I also had some Quells, which is like travel sickness medication. I didn't use it at all actually, but better safe than sorry. Same with, had some earplugs as well. These are from my very first backpacking trip. That was 2 years ago, and they are just still floating around. Didn't have to use them, but had them. Had some sunscreen, so I got like this tiny little sunscreen just so that it was small, so I was keeping my liquids low, and hopefully it's a refillable one. It is, so I can take the full lid off, so I can keep refilling that and taking that with me. It's even just handy to have in your handbag when you're out and about at home. I also took one adapter. So before I went, this is the one that I took. So they have 2. If you're from England, a lot of the English plugs will just work anyways, but I'm from Australia, so I didn't. I only took one of these, and that is kind of one of my regrets. I'll get into my regrets at the end. And then I also always travel with one of these. I actually always have one of these on me every day when I'm just walking around at home as well. And this is like a clip that you, like a chip clip that you can put in your packet of chips to keep it fresh. So like when I have my Oreos and stuff to keep them fresh, I had one of those. So that's just this little top compartment here. Then you've obviously got these like net sides down here that you can put things in. in, and then the whole top comes off. And I quite like this because the zip is actually hidden. You can't really see where the zip is, which just makes it that little bit safer. So I always have my Uniqlo bag with me when I'm traveling. This is my handbag when I'm at home, but it just fits so much in it. I've got it in a dark color so it doesn't get dirty. And then in this, I had my Arfid case. So this is just kind of, I used it like as my purse, and I've still got some money left. It was just easy to keep cash in there, and then I could just take this with me if I didn't want something big. I also took my sunnies. I have my Ray-Bans in my case. I love Ray-Bans because they look pretty, but they actually really annoy me because they are so thin and flimsy that like I've sat on them before and like bent the arms, and so now they sit a bit wonky on my face. I think this is the first souvenir that I bought in Vietnam. Was a fan. Hated looking like a tourist, but I was so hot, and I tried toughing it out for a few days and I just couldn't. I also always have a spork with me. This is one of my lessons in life. Again, when I'm at home, when I'm traveling, to always have cutlery on me. It's just handy, and then you can avoid plastic single-use utensils. I had a pen as well. I also had DEET. This one is specifically Bushman's, and it's better to get the cream one. So when I was in Peru, they asked that you only brought ones that you could rub on so that you don't, you know, spray the environment around you and, you know, kill flora and fauna. I've also got my power bank that I took with me. This is just Anko, so it's from Kmart, and it's not too bad. It gets me through, but it is quite big and heavy, and I don't find the charging that great on it. So it is probably worth investing in a better, lighter, better battery one. And then I bought this before I went as well from Anko because I have a watch and a phone that I take traveling with me. The AirPods side of it doesn't work. It is a 3-in-1 travel charger. So it's okay. I don't love it. I don't hate it. It just is what it is. I also always have Band-Aids. I've always got Band-Aids with me, and that came really handy with the shoes that I had as well. I've always got some tampons floating around, and I also have AirTags. So I have an AirTag in my handbag and an AirTag in my big bag. And then if I am not taking, like if I'm, you know, taking this backpack out, this little one, instead of that, then I'll just swap the AirTag into that. But AirTags are fantastic. And the most important thing for me is I had my SeaBands. So these are a non-medicinal travel sickness thing. So they use acupressure, and you just put on your wrists and you don't get travel sick. And I get travel sick in planes, boats, cars, buses, everything. And these really do help. So I really do swear by these. I love them. Then I got given on my first day with an Intrepid tour. I think this is probably pretty standard that everyone gets. I got given a bag. And then I took my Lifestraw. I love Lifestraws, and these are a great drink bottle to have. I love the squishy one as well because it folds down really small. So like the more of it you drink, the less space it takes up. And I always have a carabiner attached to it. So I normally attach it like to my bag like that. So it's just hanging off my bag so I can easily carry it around. And this is the way that you can drink any kind of water. So you can drink water from a stream, you can drink stuff from a tap. You know, it's a good way if you're traveling to a country that doesn't really have drinkable water. To save buying plastic bottles, you just buy a Lifestraw and the filter in there, and then you can really drink any water. A Lifestraw is a must when traveling. Then I had my Trtl pillow as well. I was actually lucky enough to get this for free from my local Buy Nothing group. And so this is just a neck pillow. You put it on your neck and then you tie it around like a little scarf, and it's got like plastic here. So then you can, I find it really comfy, and it's just smaller than one of those other traditional neck pillows. I had my eye mask. This is just the eye mask that I have at home. I think when I'm traveling long term, I'll get a better one. And then I had my hat. This is a little like corduroy hat that was actually my mum's a long time ago. And then I had my purse. This is a Fossil purse that is RFID or RFID safe, but it doesn't really fit a passport. Like it does just, and I'm so scared of like getting my passport stuck in the teeth here and then destroying it. So I never really put my passport in there. It has everything in it that I need. Like it had all my Medicare cards and my travel insurance stuff in it, but I probably didn't actually need it. And then importantly, I had my passports. As you'll see in the other video, I had a lot of problems getting a visa. You really need to get your visa organized on time before Vietnam. It was hard for me because I won the trip to Vietnam, so I only found out about it 2 weeks before I went. But yeah, I have an Australian passport and a British passport. So now we'll get on to the big bag. But first, I'm going to show you the only pair of shoes that I took. So I took my Teva XLT2 Hurricanes, which are just shoes that I have seen time and time and time again from backpackers saying these are like the best shoes to take with you, and they're actually the only shoes that I took, and I stand behind that decision. I think that was an absolutely great decision. So these are really comfy. They're like thick on the bottom. They're not just super thin kind of sandals. The only problem that I have with these, so I actually bought these for the trip. I got a little bit of rubbing here on my toe, and it didn't like start bleeding or blistering or anything like that, but it was just a little bit uncomfortable. So I just whacked a band-aid over my toe and it was absolutely fine. And I think that's just like a getting used to the shoes kind of thing. These are so comfy, and I would really recommend them for if you're going to Asia, because it rains so much and it's so humid. We were just constantly getting wet feet, and people that were wearing sneakers were constantly in wet sneakers and shoes, and then they couldn't dry out. So they were just carrying wet sneakers around with them for days and days. Whereas with these, literally there was one night we went out to dinner, we got in the taxi, and on the way into the taxi, I stepped in a puddle that came up to like my car, and by the end of dinner, all the straps had dried, and it just doesn't make any difference. It's fine. Like once you accept that you're getting wet feet, you're going to get wet feet. That's so much more comfortable than having wet socks and shoes that don't dry. And everyone in Southeast Asian countries is just wearing like slides and thongs all the time. So I love my Tevas, would definitely recommend them. You can definitely manage 10 days in Vietnam with one pair of shoes. In the big backpack, we have, it's all nice and neat like this when I organize it. So first thing I had was my rain jacket. So this is the Patagonia Torrentshell 3-liter jacket, which I really like. It's actually the men's one, but I just like the color of it more. You definitely need a raincoat when you're in Vietnam. I kind of wish I took one of the really long ones. Like you can buy them there. I just didn't want to get like one of the kind of single-use plastic ponchos, but having my knees covered would have been really nice, because I was basically walking around in like soaking wet pants, but was nice and dry on the top. I still think that's a good jacket. I use it for everything else, so it was worth taking it and not having to buy another one. And that's also a good jacket. It doesn't provide any warmth, so you can have like the armpits unzipped so that you're still breathing, because it is so wet and sticky in Vietnam in September. Got my toiletries here. This is just a toiletries bag that I've had for Lord knows how long. But I had my toothpaste and my Polident mouthguard retainer tablets. And then basically every hotel we stayed at had a little comb, which was really handy because I didn't take a comb or a hairbrush. So I just kind of pinched this one from the first hotel we stayed at. I had lots more Band-Aids as always. I had more tampons in there. I had GastroStop. I've always taken GastroStop with me on all of my trips. I've never had to use it thus far, which is good. I also had some paracetamol, which I didn't have to use. So I didn't take a razor just because in carry-on you often can't take a razor. So actually one of the girls gave that to me whilst we were over there, which was great. I had a little nail file. I don't know if I've ever used that whilst I've been traveling, but it doesn't really take up any space or weight. And then I also had Aquatabs. Again, I've never used these Aquatabs, but these are just tablets that you can put in water to make it drinkable. I bought those before I bought my Lifestraw. I only bought my Lifestraw last year, and I bought those tablets 2 years ago. So they're just handy to have just in case. And then I've got all of my liquids in here. I was under the weight for liquids. The mils, I was under that, but the weight of them was quite a bit. So I just have my moisturizer. I didn't have this full. I took out, like this is basically empty. I just took as much as I would need for the trip. Got my retainer. I got a deodorant. Normally the deodorant that I use comes in a glass jar, but it was just heavier. So I actually bought this the day that I left. And again, roll on, not an aerosol, better for the environment, but also better for like plane requirements. I have my stop itch, which again was handy in case I did get bitten. You really don't want to get bitten. Got my little face wash just as like a little mini one as well. I took a little lip balm with me. I had Savlon, which came in handy when someone got injured. And then I had the tiniest toothpaste that I could find in the shops just for weight as well. And then I had a sunscreen. I actually got these from Kmart a little while ago, and they're just refillable travel pouches. One of them's got shampoo, one of them's got conditioner, and one of them has body wash in it. For this particular trip, it was bougier than I thought. It's not the kind of style trip that I would normally do. I normally do, you know, real kind of budget backpacking vibes. So I'm staying in hostels where I'm sleeping in bunk beds and you have to supply all your own stuff. This trip was like staying in hotels. There was shampoo in basically all the hotels and body wash. Conditioner was a little bit harder to come by. I used it just so that I was getting rid of the weight, but I actually could have gone by without it. So if you are doing the Intrepid tour that I did, you wouldn't really need it. I've got these are Kathmandu packing cases that I just got on Facebook Marketplace a couple years ago. This is a microfiber towel. It's actually not the Kathmandu one. The Kathmandu one, the large one is really, really small. I took it on my first trip to New Zealand and it was just way too small for everything. I actually bought this one from Kmart just before I went, so that now I have two. I normally travel with my dock and bay towel because that's bigger, but it weighed more, and when I was stressing about trying to get my bag under, I took the lighter one and just have it in that so that I can easily carry it around. If I was backpacking, I definitely would have needed to supply my own towel. Because we were staying in hotels, I actually only used this once. Got some bed socks just to keep my feet warm if need be, or just clean. Having clean feet is just such a thing for me. So in this little cube here, I just kind of have all of my socks, undies, all of that stuff. So I had two little bralettes that I took. I had one bikini. I took 5 pairs of undies. I probably could have taken more undies. I took my buff, which I always wear. I wear this as a headband. Again, this is another practical souvenir. I got this when I was in Peru. That is Machu Picchu that's on it. And then there is one pair of pajamas in here. It's just like a top and shorts. This is the really big chunky one that I took. So in here we had my jumper. So I live in South Australia and I went to Melbourne for a day before I flew over. I would have frozen in Melbourne if I didn't have this, but I did not need it in Vietnam. Taking something a lot lighter and thinner that still provides warmth would definitely be a good idea. I took this little dress. It doesn't take up a lot of space. I had one little pair of shorts as well, and I took my overalls as well. So I live in overalls. In winter, I've got my long ones. In summer, I have my short ones. This is going to be a quick video, and I've really not made it quick. And then in my final bag, I had another pair of pajamas. These are still really thin. They dry really quickly. I had one tank top that dried really quickly. This one I really like because you don't need to wear a bra with it and it kind of holds the girls up. I had one t-shirt. This was a bit of a cheeky one to take. It's my Noah Khan t-shirt, so I really cared about it not getting damaged, so I only washed it once. But having a t-shirt is always a good idea to cover your shoulders, especially in Vietnam. There's lots of pagodas that you go into where you need to have your knees and your shoulders covered. I took this top, which I love, and this one's actually really good as well because you can have it off the shoulder like that and pull it up onto the shoulders if you're going into a pagoda and you need your shoulders covered. I had this little kind of crocheted tank top, another green tank top as well. So I had 4 tanks, if you call that a tank, one t-shirt, one long sleeve shirt. So I often wore this, you know, unbuttoned with a tank on underneath. That's all the clothes I took. In this, there's a little side compartment here in the bag that I really like. Oh, and I've just pulled the handle off. And I had my thongs in there as well. I didn't end up needing these. These were my shower shoes, which you could get away with using Tevas as shower shoes. I would like to have shower shoes, but again, I stayed in fancier places than I normally do because I was not paying for it. And then in this little top compartment here, I have my international vaccination document. And then I also had all of my travel documents. So I had my visa printed out on paper. That was a recommendation. I have my passport printed out on paper as well in case anything ever happens to that. All of my insurance details, my flight details. I also had my film camera and some film. This is the tube thing that you need for your Lifestraw. You just have to take that when you're traveling so that your Lifestraw doesn't get clogged up. I did end up with a plastic bag at one point, so I kept it in case I need to reuse it. And I took an extra power bank, which I did not need. I was just panicking when I left. I was in a real panic because of the whole visa situation. So that's everything that I took, and I'm really happy with everything that I took. It worked pretty well. I would like to save more weight in future, have it comfortably under 7 kilos. But what I wish I took was more underwear. Having 5 pairs of undies for 10 days, I thought would be fine. But because you get so sweaty, you're having kind of multiple showers a day. And so we'd go out in the morning and then we'd come back and I'd have a shower, and it would be nice to have clean undies for that. So I could have done with some more pairs of undies. Another adapter would have been nice. Some cold and flu tablets. So I ended up getting sick 2 days before the tour ended, and it would have been really nice to have cold and flu tablets. Luckily, I was traveling with lots of other people, so I crowdsourced some. Having an electric fan would be nice. One of my friends told me this before I went, a handheld electric fan. I didn't buy one because I thought it was a little bit wasteful and it would be another thing to charge, and I was already struggling with charging what I had because of the one adapter situation, but it would have been really nice to have, and I think I will definitely buy one for going long term. What I didn't need to take was my thongs, my towel, the extra power bank, bra. Oh, I wasn't in there, but I had like a sports bra, like a crop, you know, that you could wear out. I didn't need to take that. And my microphone that I've currently got on, I didn't need to take that, but that's okay. I used Up whilst I was traveling, the bank. So that's my bank in Australia as well, but they have no fees on travel cards. So you can just use your card as normal, which is so handy. It's the same card that I use. It's on my phone when I'm in Australia, and absolutely nothing changes when I go overseas. They have really good conversion rates. You just get like the conversion rate. They don't add any percent on top of that. So I always use Up. I love Up. I think it's great. I got an eSIM this time. I'd never done an eSIM before, and I used Airalo. I was really happy with that. I bought 10 gig, I think, and then I think I ended up using like 3 for 10 days. I was just nervous. I was like, I'll be posting TikToks and stuff like that, but there was a lot of Wi-Fi around, and yeah, I was being really conservative with how much data I was using, and really the whole time I could have been burning through it because I still wouldn't have gotten through it. So you do not need a gig a day. Travel insurance, I went with RAA. So that's the South Australian like roadside assist people, but otherwise fast cover is also good. Travel advice, I went to the Smart Traveller website. So if you're an Aussie, the government website is Smart Traveller, and they provide really good advice on, you know, what vaccinations you need, what things you need to take, all of that. I got the flu jab and I got Hep A as well, which was just like a booster, and everything else. Like I'd had typhoid and yellow fever vaccinations when I went to Peru, so I didn't need those, but you would need those if you went. And my visa was a huge kerfuffle. Just allow yourself like 3 weeks, a month to get your visa, which I couldn't help in my circumstances, but it was very stressful. Anyways, that was a really long-winded video, but I hope you enjoyed. And yeah, feel free to follow me on TikTok and Instagram, subscribe. Yeah, and stay tuned for another video soon.